Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Tasty Tuesdays, all about cooking, all about nutrition, and all about you. If there's something you'd like to see on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Please send us an email at info@invisiblefitness.com. Enjoy the show. Today's show, a grain-free, gluten-free Paleo berry crisp. Now this recipe can be used with all kinds of fruit. My favorite is peaches when they're in season, or blackberries. You can do a blackberry raspberry combination, you can do a triple berry combination, you can even use it as an apple crisp. Today, because of what's in season and what's available and what's organic, we're gonna use blueberry. So it's just gonna be a paleo blueberry crisp. So I've taken 3 packages of blueberries and washed them. And I'm gonna take and line a glass pan with them. In fact, I probably have too many berries, to be quite honest, but they're gonna cook down, so it's okay. I probably only needed 2 packages of berries. Got a little ahead of myself. All right, so we take those berries, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on them. We're going to drizzle just a touch of lemon juice. I've squeezed it in my little juicer so I don't get any seeds. And then I'm gonna drizzle them with a little bit of maple syrup. So in the paleo world, the sugar substitutes that you use, because you don't use regular sugar, is use things like dates and honey and maple syrup. And coconut sugar, which you saw us use earlier in other segments. So I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of maple syrup onto my blueberries. And then I'm gonna take a 1/4 cup of melted butter, and I'm gonna add to that our crust. So we're gonna use almond meal and cashew meal, because in the paleo world, in order to bake with something, rather than wheat or flour or rice or some kind of grain, we use ground up nuts. So obviously this is not gonna work if you have a nut allergy. You can use the homemade almond meal that we've done in previous shows, or you can use the store-bought almond meal, whether it be blanched, or this is just regular almond meal from Trader Joe's. And we're gonna put a cup of almond meal in with our melted butter. And then we're gonna use a 1/2 cup of cashew meal. And you can use macadamia nut, and rather than buying it at the store, you can just make your own macadamia nut meal, just like you did with the almond meal. Okay, so now that I have a 1.5 cups of basically a nut meal, I'm gonna stir that around. And I'm actually gonna add a touch of maple syrup to this mixture because I like my crust to have just a little bit of sweetness to it. Now, if you were using this crust on, let's say, a dish that wasn't sweet, then obviously you wouldn't add any sugar. And this could be sort of a crust for something that you would be serving for dinner or a side dish. So I'm gonna go ahead and spoon this crust right on top of the blueberries. And then I'm actually, because it's being really sticky, I'm gonna actually use my fingers, my clean fingers, to move this around a little bit. And it doesn't have to cover everything, because what's gonna happen is that the butter in the meal is going to melt, obviously, and pull away from the almond meal. So obviously this meal is really wet. I probably could have added a little bit more almond meal or cashew meal to it, but I really like the butter to cook down the blueberries because it kind of mushes it all together. So I'm not gonna add any more almond meal to this, but you can if you think it's too wet. I've done it when it's too dry, and I'd rather be too wet than too dry. So once I spread this around, I'm gonna put it in the oven at 375 for about 25 to 30 minutes. Blueberries are gonna cook down a little bit faster than peaches or apples, so make sure to keep an eye on it, because depending on your oven, you might need a little less time.
The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve.
Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.TV. Have a fit and fabulous day.